From Hollywood, time once again for Money TV. I'm Don Baillargeon. Thanks for joining us. Money TV is the program all about money and what makes it happen. Well, the tragic school shooting in Florida was still under siege last week when the news media and the left renewed their calls for gun ban legislation. It's become a tireless debate, the left screaming to eliminate guns and the right quoting the Second Amendment. There are estimated to be nearly 300 million firearms in the United States, or approaching one for every man, woman, and child living here. Now, no matter what side of the debate you're on, that's a lot of guns. The main problem with eliminating guns entirely is the fact that only 3% of murders and crimes committed with guns are by people who obtain those guns legally. Hence the old saying, if you outlaw guns, only outlaws will have guns. Obtaining a gun can be illegal for several reasons. People with a criminal record, minors, those with a mental illness, or illegal aliens would ordinarily be blocked from purchasing a gun in a gun store because they would fail the background check. But almost every illegal gun is originally purchased legally, and then at some point they end up on the black market. Criminals get their guns from the black market or from what is known as a straw purchaser, a person who can pass the background check, buys the gun legally, and then gives or sells it to someone who would not pass the background check. It's kind of like an adult buying alcohol for a teenager. While gun control supporters claim that expanding the federal background check system will stop criminals from getting guns, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms has said that nearly half of illegally trafficked firearms originate with straw purchasers, all of whom do pass background checks. Now, guns are likely never going to be illegal in the United States. The firearms and ammunition industry accounts for more than $51 billion of annual economic activity and thousands of jobs. Now, the president this week indicated he's open to increased background checks for gun buyers. But to keep guns out of the hands of undesirables, the real gun legislation that must be considered is to require lawful gun purchasers to have to prove they still own the guns they purchased legally. Now, is that going to be a hassle for law-abiding gun owners? Sure it will. But the time to find out a legally purchased gun is no longer owned by the original purchaser is not after it's been used in a crime. Now, here's something you never have to worry about. It's our toll-free number, good from anywhere in the world you're watching the program, 888-259-4449, to get free information about our featured guests. When you do call, be sure and ask to be added to the subscription list of our Money TV newsletter. It is also free, as is the call, 888-259-4449 from anywhere in the world. Be sure and visit us at MoneyTV.net, and please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Well, our first guest is joining us in studio, Mr. John Hollis. So John is the CEO of Imaging 3 Incorporated. IGNG is their stock symbol. John, welcome to the program.
Hey, Don. Thanks for inviting me in. Appreciate it.
We're really pleased to have you on the program. We've been covering Imaging 3 for a number of years. You just recently became CEO about less than 60 days ago. What was it about the company that attracted you to the position?
You know, Imaging 3 has just such a compelling story. The device that we're developing is going to have such an impact, and that's what drives me and has driven me in my career. It can help patients, it can help the healthcare system, because it really is a fabulous tool. I also saw the company had had a challenging time, and I saw the commitment from some of the management and investors had actually brought them back to a place where there was a chance that this company could actually realize its dream. And that combination, the impact that we can have on healthcare, on patients, both in the United States and worldwide, as well as that opportunity to resurrect this great company, was very compelling.
A lot of people watching the program, of course, are familiar with the company. Some may even be shareholders in the company from way back when. But for those watching for the first time, hearing about you for the first time, tell us what the company does.
Yeah, so Imaging 3 is developing as it sounds, an imaging device. It's an X-ray machine, but it's very unique. We have a proprietary technology that can take the X-ray in as quickly as a second and turn it into two-dimensional, three-dimensional, but in real time, which means you literally can take the X-ray in a second, and I can take that three-dimensional object and do slice throughs like a CT scan. Okay. CTs are the much bigger, more expensive, they require a lot of radiation, but I can take that, I can take an X-ray of your head, I can rotate your head, I can slice it, dice it, look inside of it, which is not something that anything else can do. And ultimately, that device can actually take that and help guide surgery. So in real time, you could actually have a radiologist who could be working with the surgeon and look inside of a person's body. Now, that's sometime downstream, but initially it will be used to image bones or organs or whatever else, and then a healthcare practitioner can look at it three-dimensionally immediately.
What's amazing about it, from my perspective, is that it's portable. It's actually on wheels.
Right.
And it plugs into a regular 110 outlet. Healthcare facility or healthcare practitioner doesn't have to worry about all kind of infrastructure, change a building around. You just roll it in, put it to work.
You're right. So it's great that you point that out, because the device is probably going to ultimately weigh less than 150 pounds. So you could actually roll it around on wheels. You can plug it in anywhere, or if it were, say, in a community during an emergency setting, you could have a Honda generator because it's 110. The difference in what it does is the design of it is looks like an O-ring, kind of like the eye in Lord of the Rings. And the X-ray actually spins around that in a second, taking many, many pictures, which are then assembled through an algorithm and software to make this 3D model. But you could do that anywhere in the world. Wow. And you could do it with, it does far less radiation, but it does something which is more like the CT, which many of your viewers, listeners have actually been to a CT lab, where it's in a fancy room where you lock the door behind you, you're alone by yourself, and you're inside of a machine that delivers a lot of radiation in order to give a picture that's similar to what we do, but it can be done anywhere. It gives off very low radiation.
Well, as I mentioned, we've covered the company for several years. We've covered it through highs, we've covered it through lows. In a conversation you and I had off the air, you mentioned that you used the term rising phoenix. Well, tell us what you meant by that. Yeah,
for those of you who remember Greek mythology, the phoenix was this long-lived bird that would resurrect itself out of the flames very often. And my meaning behind it is this company was roaring 10 years ago, as recently as 7 years ago. And the marketplace, and this is why it was compelling, the use of this device is so intuitive. People see how it could be used in so many different settings to provide something that could be beneficial. Unfortunately, some very big mistakes were made, some overreaching mistakes in terms of the application to the FDA, asking for too much without having the evidence to support that too much. And it wasn't because the device can't do the things. The work hadn't been done to actually prove to the FDA what to do. And unfortunately, that resulted in a collapsing of the company. The company actually went into bankruptcy. And for the last 3.5 years, these investors and management actually took the company through the BK process, the bankruptcy process, as well as the SEC remediation process, because they were delisted and then relisted. Really an incredible commitment, and very rare that a company can withstand that. But I think that's a testament to what this product can do. So last year, the SEC process concluded, that is, the last questions that the SEC had were answered, and there were no more questions. The bankruptcy process ended also last year, and some of the regulatory work was concluded that hadn't been done before, because that obviously is our next step.
So everything is done with the SEC, everything's done with the bankruptcy, you moved on from that.
Correct. And obviously we're committed to doing all that we need to do to keep ourselves current with the SEC, and we're running ourselves as a very responsible company, and are quite transparent, because there's nothing, we gain no benefit in denying what happened. It happened. What I know is this product works, because I actually have gone and turned the product on, the Dominion, as we refer to it, the Dominion Smart Scan. I've turned the machine on, I've calibrated it, meaning I've connected the motion and the sensors together so that it could actually do its work. I've imaged a hand and then actually sliced and diced it all myself. And I'm not really that much of a technical person, but I can do it, and it works.
So I'm sure now when you get up in the morning till the time you put your head back to the pillow at night, you're focused entirely now on the FDA 510K approval process. Is there any status update on that whatsoever?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. Our focus is to do it correctly. Fortunately, the investors I spoke of and the management in the last couple of years did the first half of that process, which hadn't been done, which is ISO testing of the software. So they've had the software validated by one of the most prestigious regulatory companies. They've compiled all of the filings, they're called CFRs, all these binders that are famously supporting and are really the documents the FDA needs, which weren't done before. The second half of it is validating the instrument itself to make certain that the radiation that's emitted is within particular variances and tolerances, and that's the next step we have to do. It takes about 3 months.
Okay.
We know the company that's going to do it, we know how much it's going to cost. There's another month after it to compile what's called the 510K, and then we'll submit that to the agency. Between there and here, we'll actually meet with the agency and tell them where we're going, hopefully gain agreement that our plan sounds reasonable. And I've had a chance to review all of the documents and communications from it, and I'm confident that we've learned a lot from that and are bringing in the right regulatory people to help us do that pathway correctly.
Once again, Imaging 3, IGNG is their stock symbol. John, why is this a good time for people to take a closer look at the company?
Well, it gets back to the compelling message. Here's this incredible product with all this potential. Investors understood the potential of this company back when, and it really was a darling at the time. Now, you might say that we're at the other end of the extreme. We have come out of repairing these different issues, the SEC and the bankruptcy. We're bringing in team members. You can see we've started a scientific advisory board, brought in some really prominent radiologists to give us insights. So we're building the team and the extended team to be able to go through this FDA process and really realize the dream for the company.
Well, we're really looking forward to watching over the next several weeks. I know we'll have several other interviews with you. Again, Imaging 3, IGNG. Fabulous, John. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Don.
With us now on the phone is Don Smith. He's the Executive Vice President of Smart Cannabis Corporation. SCNA is their stock symbol. Don, welcome back to the program.
Glad to be here, Don.
Well, what's new since we last spoke, Don?
Just as predicted, the second quarter rush we talked about last week is getting started off a bit early. We're doing lots of quotes, but I think the most exciting thing to report in the last week is the excitement that's growing around our new gutter-connected greenhouses. What this is, it's going to be sort of next generation Model 2, if you will, from our company, and we've just handed off all of the design specs that have been engineered to a specialized engineering firm who is running a number of computer simulated tests on those for wind load, stress test, load bearing, construction models and so forth. And we're confident that will pass any building code department in California, or in fact any of the 50 states requirements for a really solid structure like this. That's going to come back to us with all of these engineering specifications that cost a substantial amount of money, as well as a full set of 3D virtual reality walkthrough models for these greenhouses. So that's a couple of week process. We're very excited to get through that.
Well, that's exciting. Now, you mentioned you're doing a lot of quotes, probably taking a lot of orders. Do you have any concerns about being able to keep up and meet the demand?
Not at all. In fact, when our financials come out, it will show that we invested well over $100,000 in manufacturing facility upgrades at our manufacturing operation in December to get ready for this anticipated moment. Right now, I estimate our manufacturing capacity, depending on the model of greenhouse we were to sell, to be between $300 and $600 million a year. Now, I know that's a wide range, but when you consider just here are these numbers. I mean, we have one quote outstanding right now. We're negotiating on for final approval. That's 128,000 square feet of greenhouse under roof. Under that, now that's the equivalent of 44 of the individual greenhouses of what we've been selling today. We have another quote that's far along in the pipeline that's for 96,000 square feet of greenhouse. And again, that's about 31, 32 equivalencies of our, what we've cut our teeth on around here of the 30 by 90, 30 by 120, 3,000 square foot greenhouses.
Lots of activity as usual. Once again, Smart Cannabis Corporation, SCNA. Don, great update. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot, Don. I'll see you soon.
Take care.
Bye.
With us in studio now is Riggs Eckleberry. Riggs is the CEO of Origen Clear. OCLN is their stock symbol. Riggs, welcome back to the show.
Always. Thank you, Don.
Now, we missed you last week. You were at another blockchain convention. How did it go?
Pretty amazingly, you know, this is called D10E, which is the foremost decentralization conference. And really, blockchain is about decentralization. That's
Right.
what it's about. And so this is really the foremost one in the world that it's staged throughout the year. And this is the first time it happened in Silicon Valley. I got to present, and I have to tell you that people got emotional about the opportunity to do something about water themselves, aside from donating to some project in Africa, which is wonderful. But here in the U.S., we have a decaying infrastructure. People need, you know, next generation water treatment and recycling. And remember, the U.S. only recycles 1% of its water, while the virgin water is getting more expensive.
That's right. I mean, it's become, especially when you talk about California, when the drought was at its peak, people were talking about the bottled water companies that were taking water out of the system.
Sure.
I mean, there was a real controversy.
Now, you know, complacency has taken over, but a lot of people care. And that's what came out of it. And I believe there's going to be, perhaps next week, we'll be able to show some footage from that.
Great.
Which should be fun.
Now, I know this is kind of a new baby that you're dealing with. I know you have a core business as well. You have earnings to talk about, a lot of things going on.
Yes, WaterChain is a fantastic project, and it's really the latest technology, great leap forward for Origen Clear. But we have a core business, and we got some great people in charge of it, and I wanted to report a little bit ahead of time.
Sure.
As you know, our earnings are coming out mid next month, and what we've had in Texas with our progressive water treatment unit is a real takeoff of business. There was a slowdown around the 2016 election that was really industry-wide, and because of uncertainties and policies and so forth. And there's been since then a recovery where revenues doubled from Q2 to Q3 and then continued to grow in Q4. And now, in this quarter, in the first half of the quarter, we did the entirety of a quarter.
Wow.
In purchase orders. Of course, they still have to be confirmed, but the trend is sharply up, and I'm very, very proud of Mark Stevens down in McKinney, Texas, and Bill Charneski, who runs the whole Origen Clear group.
Now, primarily when you talk about these revenues, they're coming from what kind of companies? Is it from the oil industry, or where are these revenues coming from?
Sure. Well, you know, as we know, we have on one side the technology division, which is all about licensing, and then we have an operating division, which treats the problems of clients directly.
Right.
They are large utilities, commercial users of all kinds, some oil and gas. It's very agnostic. And also Progressive is given a mandate to use any technology they want, whatever the client needs, and they're doing extremely well.
Now, are you affected by other factors involving the industries that you're serving? Like, for example, if the price of a barrel of oil goes down, does that affect your business? I mean, how does that all work?
Well, what happened, for example, during the election, there was uncertainty with the utilities that are coal-fired. Oops, is there going to be a problem? And they literally kind of stopped in their tracks. That has been allayed. There's a lot less concern from these. You know, we all want to move off coal, but when people are stuck with it, they need to make business plans. So yes, I think that we're affected by industry, but there's much more interesting things also, which is, for example, there's a big drought in South Africa, right? There's things we can do about that. There's projects in the Middle East. All these things are in the works, unconfirmed as yet, but very, very promising.
Well, you had mentioned on the program previously, Riggs, that overseas they're more adaptable to water technology than they are here locally or domestically, and so you're really concentrating on that as well.
Yes, shorter decision process. There's also, I think, a sense of urgency. People in these areas, there's literally people wasting away and getting ill.
And you mentioned, I want you to reiterate this again because it was so interesting. There are other countries that are recycling much more of their water than we are here. Tell us about that.
Amazing, but you know, of course, the leader is Israel. 80% of its water, they even harvest water from the air. Amazing. You know, one of the reasons why Israel is doing relatively well with its neighbors today is it's supplying water to them. Water is the peace offering, isn't it?
Exactly.
And then we have the second in the world is Spain with 20%, U.S. 1%.
1%.
Come on.
It's amazing.
We're going to change it.
We're going to change it. Once again, Origen Clear, OCLN is their stock symbol. Riggs, every time you come in here is something new and exciting. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
Does this sound familiar? Turned down for a mortgage? Credit card interest over 20%? Didn't get the job you wanted? The problem is your credit score. Unsure what your credit score is? Call the Advocacy Network, 321-947-3220. Talk to Carl. He can help you regain your financial independence. Change your life today. 321-947-3220. Talk to Carl.
Have you heard the news? There's only one flat-fee news distribution network on the market. It's called AccessWire, and it's exclusively from Issuer Direct. Any day, anytime, the AccessWire News Network can deliver your press release to more than 1,500 media outlets in 98 countries. AccessWire also delivers real-time engagement analytics. You will learn who read and shared your press release and more. Best news of all, getting started is easy. Visit accesswire.com and extend your company's news reach today.
We are back. Thanks for staying with us and joining the phone now by Greg Lambrecht. Greg is the CEO of Single Point Incorporated. SING is their stock symbol. Greg, welcome back to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me back, Don.
Now, I know that you're excited about the company recently being uplisted to the OTCQB, but it's made a real difference for the company, hasn't it?
Yeah, it really has. We're very excited about it. We're, starting to see some new market makers and some institutional investors calling us, wanting to talk to us, and it just gives us a new level of transparency. So it's very exciting.
Of course, in addition, the company has added a rather prestigious board member. Tell us about him.
Yeah, we did. And whether that's a direct result of getting up to the OTC or not, we brought in a board member. His name is Venu, and he's a high-level executive at Microsoft, Amazon, and really is going to bring us more credibility and his relationships, particularly. He's ran, dev shops all over the world with over thousands of employees. So we're planning on starting our own dev shop. We haven't decided which country. We have a couple options, but that's going to help us have our own people and really focus on building out some blockchain solutions for some of the companies.
Well, Greg, I saw a press release this week. The company has entered into another LOI. Can you give us some details?
Yeah, so pretty exciting for Single Point. I mean, we have an LOI where company OR Hub is going to pay us, $750,000 to build out the blockchain for their company, and they're in the medical business. So of course, once we do it for them, we expect to have that done and show it to other people. And of course, as you know, the medical industry is huge. So it's really a big deal for Single Point to get such a large order and have the credibility to have that company, put their faith in us to build out their blockchain solution.
Well, that's fantastic. Now, in 2017, we were talking a lot about acquisitions. Do you expect more acquisition activity this year?
We do. In fact, I think we've proven to the investors and the shareholders that we're capable and have the experience to close deals on acquisitions. So I know we had 4 in 2017. We expect to have double that, whether that's 8 or 10, and we expect them to be double the amount in size. So we're really looking forward to increasing our revenues in 2018 by acquisitions.
Single Point Incorporated, SING. Greg, tremendous update. Thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you very much. Single Point is in a great spot, and go sing.
And with us on the phone now is David Savarese. He is the president of Solar Integrated Roofing Corporation. SIRC is their stock symbol. David, welcome to the program.
Hey, Don. Thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing terrific. Now, I guess you guys are pretty excited because we've talked about this off the air. You've got a bunch of new people in the building. You've got a new director of operations. And it's really changed the dynamic, hasn't it?
Absolutely. It's been very positive. We're building out an amazing team. We hired a gentleman by the name of Brian Wilson, who has had over 10 years of experience in not only the solar but the roofing industry. He's got over 5,000 solar installations under his belt. He's currently putting together the processes and the procedures for us to really be able to scale the company in a really responsible way.
Well, tell us about that. I mean, basically, what are some of the things that he's implementing into the company?
Yeah, so first off, what we're looking at is our quality control and quality control process. So quality assurance and quality control is one of the key ingredients to making sure that you have happy customers. So we're putting some new processes and procedures in place around that. We are also putting some processes and procedures from when we generate a lead to when a system is being installed on the solar side or when a roof is being installed on the solar side. And what that's happening, we're seeing really happy customers. We're seeing positive feedback and super excited about what's going on. And really, we're just improving what we've already done in the past.
So basically what you've done, you've taken the whole operation and made it more organized, more concise, correct?
That's exactly right. And that gives us the ability to scale. The key as we continue to grow is having those right processes, the technology, the procedures in place so that we can scale responsibly and really, at the end of the day, have quality systems with a really happy customer base.
Well, what's new at the company, David, since we last spoke?
We've also brought on a couple more guys, which has been great. And that's really on the board of directors side of things. We've got Jerry Berg, who has now joined the board of directors. He's an outside consultant. He was with Deloitte for many, many years on the financial side and auditing side. So we're super happy to have him on board to give us some more insight on the public world. We're looking at another gentleman right now. I can't really mention his name at the moment until the deal is signed, but he will be heading up our mergers and acquisitions department. One of our big strategies in 2018 is to cover and actually acquire a few companies to boost the revenues and profitabilities up.
Once again, David Savarese, president of Solar Integrator Roofing Corporation. Their stock symbol's SIRC. David, congratulations on all those fine developments. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate your time.
Take care. We're going to talk a little bit about the life of an iconic legend on Money Wrap radio program this week, Mr. Billy Graham. Amazing life. To listen online or find a radio station near you, just go to moneywrap.com. Call us right now, 888-259-4449, toll free from anywhere in the world for free information about our featured guests. When you do call, be sure and ask to be added to the subscription list of our Money TV newsletter. It is also free, as is the phone call from anywhere in the world, 888-259-4449. Be sure and visit us at MoneyTV.net, and please like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. That's our program this week. As always, we'll be back next week. Thanks so much for joining us.